Angela, the last time we talked, you brought up the topic of how to face things that don't work out, or how to deal with things that you really want to go a certain way, but somehow don't happen that way. Do you have some examples of those kinds of things from your own experience?
I do. More recently, I'm being tasked with a renovation project. And it's been going on for 6 months, and it's not a big project, it's a very small project. It's renovating a loft. What I ended up surrendering to is no matter what I do, the project doesn't move according to the speed that I expect it to move. And 6 months down the line, I've realized maybe I should just surrender and see how things pan out. What would you say?
I had a very similar experience, and I think let you tell me how yours worked out, and then I'll tell you how mine worked out.
Right. So when the project started, we were having a lot of contractors come in to look at the job. They coded us, and every single time we hired a contractor, something or the other came in the way, and the contractor abandoned the job. And we also parted with a lot of money. 6 months down the line, the project grew from what it was supposed to be, just a renovation of a living room, to now renovating a bathroom. And what happened is, after having gone through 6 rounds of contractors, each one of them having abandoned the work because either we weren't happy with what they were doing for us, or they weren't happy with how much we agreed to pay them, I realized, am I getting agitated, or am I expecting things to go this way because this is the only way I see it happening? And am I really controlling how it turns out to be? And I don't think I have figured that out yet.
What happened?
It's not finished.
Well, in my experience, and I'm thinking of a particular, and it was a renovation project, and I was at odds with the contractor about how it was going to work out. And at some point I thought, maybe I'll just let them do it their way. And I sort of backed off and just said, okay, you do it your way. Turns out they knew a whole lot more about it than I did. And the project came off well and on time and on budget. And I could have screwed that up badly by insisting on doing it my way, but I was very happy with the results. So I learned a lot from that one too.
So this makes me question, when do we surrender? When is the right time for one to surrender and back off? And how do we identify that opportunity to say, all right, I've done enough, I think now is the time to surrender?
What an excellent question. I think part of the answer has to do with whether or not the success of the project, endeavor, or action that you're doing is really fundamentally important, and whether there's some objective reason that it has to come out a certain way, because if you don't get enough air in the aquarium, the fish will die, that kind of thing. But on the other hand, you have to work out what's practical and what is it that you're imposing on the project that is actually more ego than reality. And if you can separate the two, you can probably strike the right balance between doing it your way and getting it done so that it's completely functional. That's how it seems to me. That may be easier said than done, but there's always a point where you wonder, am I just too invested in this to get it right? And I think that's an important question.
And that's a very good point. And I think what happens is when we're too invested, we're focusing our energies on something that we're not good at. Right? When we have...
Yes, and we're all caught up in ourselves and our view of the situation and our view of how it should come out.
Right, that's a good point. And so, how would you say one should take a stand back, and when should one take a stand back in that process? Because when you're in it, you're too much in it to actually even consider standing back from it. And so what point do you realize that now it's enough, I need to stand back?
Well, I think one measure is to ask yourself, how intensely do you feel about what's going on? And the stronger you feel about it, the more attached you are to a particular view of it, rather than how it may or may not be good to come out. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think that's the point.
Often our problems come from our attachments. And a quick way to look at that is to always ask yourself, how strongly do I feel about this? And the more strongly you feel about something, the more of a hook it has in you.
That's a good measure.